Chelsea's pursuit of Victor Osimhen, then I've done that one. The Napoli centre forward. Obviously, let's start with the Matt Law stuff. And Matt Law obviously does a regular episode on the London is Blue podcast. And he was saying today on Victor Osimhen, Victor Osimhen would be Maurizio Pochettino's first choice striker. I don't see it happening in January, but in the summer, I can really see Osimhen joining Chelsea. Now, obviously, we know that Chelsea have been interested in Osimhen. That's not exactly new knowledge. That's very common knowledge. But ever since he went on John Obi Mikel's podcast episode that came out earlier this week, a lot of stuff has gathered pace in terms of Osimhen to Chelsea. You know, he would potentially be open to that move. Again, Fabrizio Romano saying in one of his YouTube videos that Napoli haven't changed their position and they do not want to sell Victor Osimhen in January. You've then got Simon Phillips saying that Chelsea have now made contact with the agents of Osimhen to weigh up a potential move. Obviously, Poch absolutely loves Mbappe, what Matt Law was saying on this podcast. But talking realistically, Victor Osimhen is his first choice. A summer move is more likely than a move in January, which has led people to say, well, can we secure a January deal for him to arrive in the summer like we've done with Gusto before, like we've done with others? It's going to be an interesting one. But Osimhen is said to be open to the move to Chelsea, but the Premier League club will have to wait until the summer. Ben Jacobs adding, Victor Osimhen is undoubtedly an option for Chelsea. There could be a scenario where Chelsea try to pre-sign Osimhen in January for the summer in order to jump ahead of the market. Similar to what we did with Enzo Fernandez, similar to what we've done with, obviously, Christopher Nkunku as well. Look, I think we know that Osimhen's a great striker, but what I would say as well, I've had this conversation in group chats, right? Everything that people are bigging up Osimhen for are all the same things that we were bigging up Lukaku for doing in Serie A. Osimhen is not doing anything different to what Lukaku was doing in Serie A when we were all bigging him up and gassing him up. You know, he's not doing anything different. Yes, obviously he's a bit younger at 24, 25 years of age. He's got more years ahead of him. You know, Drogba's his idol, all this sort of stuff. But look, I just want to try and give a balanced view. Like, I like Victor Osimhen. I think he's a good player, but at the same time, I think we need to be careful because all the things that he's doing well in Serie A are all the things, as I said, that Romelu Lukaku was doing well. And look how that turned out. I always worry about big money strikers coming into Chelsea. 9 times out of 10, they just don't seem to work out. When was the last time a striker was good at Chelsea? It was Diego Costa was the last successful one. I fully appreciate we need an elite level striker. I'm seeing people talk about Santiago Jimenez at Feyenoord. Good player. But 22 years of age, not a finished article. We don't need another sort of project striker, as it were. We need someone to come in right now and make a difference right now. That is the absolute key for us. You know, we don't want to be bringing in someone else that might be good in 12 to 18 months. We need someone to come in right now that can be good right now, hit the ground running and score us the goals. We need an elite forward. He ticks those boxes. He's great in the air. He's a physical player. You know, he's got fantastic attributes. You know, he's a brilliant striker. Absolutely top draw. But at the same time, I do have reservations about him. You know, how will he adapt to the Premier League? Will he, like, how would he fit into this Chelsea team? And things like that. Obviously, he'd be the focal point. He'd link up, essentially an Osimhen and Nkunku sort of linking up together with Cole Palmer on the right, Sterling or Mudryk on the left, Enzo and Caicedo in midfield or whatever. Like, look, that it reads well. It looks fantastic. But I do have my concerns. Like with there's no guarantee that, you know, any signing is going to be a success. Of course, there's less risk with Toney because he's Premier League proven, as RD says in the chat. I would love to get Ivan Toney. I've always said Ivan Toney's my guy. Look, I'm not against signing Victor Osimhen, but I just think if Osimhen's going to cost you between 120 and 150, then is that a better deal than signing Ivan Toney for, say, 70 or 80 million pounds? Is Toney at 80 million pounds max? Is that better value for money than Osimhen at, say, 120, 130? Obviously, Osimhen, you're going to get more years out of him because he's a bit younger. Toney, 27, going on 28. Obviously, in his prime. He doesn't need to adapt to the league because he knows it. Osimhen not only would need to adapt to Chelsea, but would also need to adapt to the Premier League. I'm not saying that he couldn't adapt to the Premier League. I'm absolutely not saying that. Of course he could. I'm just a little bit unsure, you know. And again, back to Ivan Toney, Simon Phillips reporting. Simon Phillips, by the way, if you're not subscribed to Simon Phillips's Substack, it's great, really good. He's a great guy. Loads of good stuff that he gets. Loads of great info that he tends to get before a lot of mainstream media get their hands on it. According to him, Chelsea have had regular contact with Ivan Toney's agents, with Paul Winstanley a fan of a potential move. They have also now reached out to the agents of Victor Osimhen, who is open to a Chelsea move. Again, I don't know what the price is going to be for Osimhen, but we're definitely talking about a lot of money. Let's be real. We're talking over 100 million. We're talking 100, 120 million. I think 120 is minimum. And again, and a fair point here is Matt Law saying, I don't know this for pure fact, but I've got a good source on it. I think Osimhen would be Pochettino's first choice. The biggest issue is Chelsea's wage structure. They would have to shatter it. Now, that is a good point here as well, right? We've got this wage structure, which is great because we're getting the wages under control, but do you make exceptions for when you're making big money signings that you just allow them to smash that wage structure and almost give them what they want? I mean, is that right? Is that fair? Is that what we should be doing? I mean, look, obviously Osimhen, you could say, would he be worth it? You would think so, but you just don't know. Is it like, does that create a bit of a bad vibe in the dressing room? Someone coming in on a lot more money? I really don't know, guys. I mean, it's an interesting one. But look, Osimhen, obviously, you know, the fallout of Napoli, is injured at the moment. Obviously, Rudy Garcia has been sacked. Walter Mazzari is now back in charge at Napoli. He's still obviously out injured at the moment, Osimhen. They're not going to want to sell their main guy in January. I think our best chance of getting Osimhen is in the summer. Is in the summer. But I think we have to get a pre-agreed deal in place in January to come in the summer. If it goes to the summer and the likes of Real Madrid are looking for a striker, if they don't get Mbappe, or Mbappe leaves and PSG have got money and they're looking to bring in a forward, they may well look to bring in Osimhen. Look, I think there's no guarantees that Osimhen comes to Chelsea in the summer. Because for me, we don't even know if we're going to qualify for the Champions League yet. Does he come without Champions League football on the premise that we might get Champions League football the following season? Does he want it guaranteed? I'd imagine a player of his caliber does not want to be playing Europa League football. And look, if we don't get the Champions League, that makes it a lot harder to pull off this deal. Like in the summer with no Champions League, I think we can forget it with the other caliber of clubs involved. But if he's happy to join us because he wants to join us, wants to sample the Premier League, and he signs a pre-contract agreement in January and to come in the summer, whether we've got Champions League or not, then fair enough. But I think a lack of Champions League, if it goes to the summer, could absolutely be a problem for us. I'll be real. It definitely complicates the situation. I think that much is fair to say. It certainly. It becomes a complicated matter. Absolutely becomes a complicated matter. But what we're saying here, there was an article yesterday stating that some of the coaching staff don't believe Toney is what we're looking for. Yeah, I did see that. I rate Toney and have him as an option for sure. Yeah, I do as well. Look, if we're talking about getting a centre forward in January, Ivan Toney is realistically, he's the best option, and he's probably one of the only options. If we're happy to wait till January, if Jackson continues to develop how he's developing, if Broja finds a bit of form and Kunku back fit, if we feel we can get by with those three and qualify for the Champions League potentially with those three sort of as our centre forward options, and we wait till the summer and try and get an Osimhen in the summer, or see or see what else is about, then fine. But I think it's quite a risk to play. I honestly think that I feel that we need someone now in January to really help us push and qualify for the Champions League in the second half of the season. I think it's a huge gamble to not sign someone else until the summer. I think that's a massive gamble. I really do. You're putting a lot of faith in Christopher Nkunku. You're relying on Broja to find some form. You're relying on Jackson to continue developing and continue finding the back of the net. Is that enough firepower to potentially get us to qualify for the Champions League? And Nkunku needs to adapt to the league. Hasn't played football for a while. I think it's a big risk. If it was a guarantee in the summer that we get Osimhen, but we've got to stick with what we've got till then I would perhaps be more tempted to go for it. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the chat. What are you saying on the Osimhen deal? Like, are you Osimhen? Are you Toney? Do you think we should be going in January? Do you think we should wait till the summer? Because as I've said, for me personally, I feel the only chance we've got of getting Osimhen is doing something similar to what we did with Gusto, doing something like we did with Nkunku, is agreeing the transfer in January or signing the player in January, but loaning them back for the remainder of the season. That for me is the only way I see us getting Osimhen. I think if Real Madrid were to become interested in his services, I think we could potentially forget it. Like, despite us being a great club and a big club and whatnot, but if you've got a choice of going to Real Madrid, you go to Real Madrid. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter what team you are. If it's Real Madrid or Barcelona after your services, you're gone. You're gone. Pure and simple. You are gone. I want Toney or Osimhen. I don't care which one. Fair enough. Look, for me personally, I think they're two great strikers. Osimhen has got obviously upsides in terms of more room to develop. He's 24 years of age. He's going to get better. I don't know how much better Ivan Toney's going to get. I think you get a little bit better, but there's a lot more room for improvement in Victor Osimhen. Obviously, he doesn't know the league and whatnot, whereas Toney does know the Premier League. Less time required to adapt. It's a really tough one. It's a tricky one. Look, of course I'm happy with either one. Of course I am. Two great players, but for me, and people that have watched the channel for a while will know that I've been banging this Ivan Toney drum for a long time. So that for me is my guy who I'd go for. I think it would suit us best. But we know that Bowley and co, they've been looking for a sort of a marquee signing, and thus as of yet, it's not really come in terms of a big name. And Osimhen would definitely fit that bill. So yeah, it's a really tricky one, people. It is a really tricky one. By the way, guys, keep smashing the likes. Let's get another 10 likes on this if we can. Let's get this to 60 likes, even 70 likes if we can. Keep smashing the like button. There's over 50 of you locked in, which is great stuff. Keep smashing the like button. Let's run this up to 60, 70 likes. It's going to be as close to 100 likes as we can, guys. Do your thing, people. It's great interacting with you. It's the international break. We've actually got quite a bit of Chelsea news for a change. So yeah, all I ask is for one favour. Smash that like button. It's free. It takes seconds, and it really helps me out. Gets more eyes on the content. So yeah, let's have it right, people. Smash that like button, and of course, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new round here. If Broja and Nkunku stay fit and Jackson continues to improve, we can wait. The thing is, though, it's still a big gamble to take. It's a lot of ifs and buts here. If Broja and Nkunku stay fit, are two massive ifs. And if Jackson continues to improve, how he is improving, that again is a massive if as well. I just think there's too many variables in there to fully commit to not going for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such a tough one. It was a really tough one. If Osimhen's happy to come regardless of whether we get Champions League football and we secure it in January, fine. But if there's doubts about Osimhen coming to Chelsea, then we really have to get on Ivan Toney in January. We simply have to do that. Yes, big up my guy. Just need Osimhen deal done next transfer window. Yeah, no, I agree. As I was saying before you jumped on, bro, like for me, I feel I could be wrong on this, but I feel that if Chelsea are going to get Osimhen, we have to get it done in January, and then he comes in the summer, and Napoli can have him for the rest of the season. That for me, I think, is the only way we got Osimhen. I think if it goes to the summer, we don't get him because of the caliber of club that will be interested in him, and the fact that he could go and play Champions League football somewhere else if we don't have it. I'm thinking that Toney will end up with at Arsenal. Yeah, look, for me, I think Toney is either Chelsea or Arsenal. But again, Arsenal got FFP issues. I don't even think Arsenal can necessarily afford Ivan Toney. I actually don't think they can afford him. There are reports coming out saying that Arsenal can't afford Ivan Toney. Yeah, it's a difficult one. It is like, what do you believe? What do you go with? It's a real tough one, people. It is a real tough one, but it's exciting. We're getting linked with top players. Toney, for me, I agree. Yeah, big up my guy. No, we're not talking about deducting. I think deducting points is an absolute worst case scenario. It's the headline that people want. Yeah, absolutely nail on the head. We need a world-class striker. Simple as that. No excuses. I don't know what's going to happen with Osimhen. Obviously, he's massively pushing. John Mikel's trying his best to get him to Chelsea. So yeah, let's see what we can. Let's see what we can do. Again, Fraser Fletcher reporting that Victor Osimhen is Chelsea's prime target for striker. He is the one they want first and foremost. I mean, look, we're evaluating all possible avenues. Nizar Kinsella in an article yesterday in the Standard saying it's very clear that Victor Osimhen would join Chelsea if they can get him out of Napoli. A January move will be very difficult, but Chelsea might be tempted to wait it out. No decision made for January yet as Poch weighs up his options. This is the big one, people. This is the big one. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth waiting it out until the summer for Osimhen? Oh, it's such a tough one, people. It really is a tough one. Do we wait it out for Osimhen or do we not? Oh, it's a real tough one. Toney or Osimhen, I don't care what one. Just give me one of them. Both. Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm happy with either. No complaints at all. Yes, big up my guy. Nothing will happen to Jackson. You need competition for places. Excuse me. You need competition for places. Jackson can learn a lot from a Toney or from an Osimhen. And look, it's good competition. You need competition for places. Nothing will happen to Jackson. He's not going to be replaced or sold or anything. But you need competition for places. Jackson was never brought in as a main forward. So yeah, nothing will happen to him. No, it's not a new setup. I'm just at my mum's for a couple of days. I'm back tomorrow in the usual setup. So yeah, I'm doing it from my original bedroom. So yeah, it's not a new setup. It's just a temporary one. So yeah, it just depends if we think it's worth the risk. Waiting, it's a big gamble. It's a big gamble if we go with Nkunku, Broja, and Jackson for the rest of the season. We're taking a lot of gambles there. But look, Osimhen, I think, would be open to the move, but we need to get obviously. Do you know what I'm saying? We need to get we need to get ourselves together here and think what we're going to do. Chelsea have been much better with Poch this season. Yeah, no, we have. We've been good. Yes, Geordie, pick yourself up, brother. I'll be looking forward to the game against Newcastle in about 10 days' time. I'll be up at St James's Park. Favourite trip of the season. Absolutely love it. I've said this before. We need to move to a bigger site if we want to compete with other teams in London. I mean, look, 80k. I think 70k. Sure. I hear what you're saying. It's a lot of additional revenue. It's a lot of extra money we can have. We've definitely got the fan base to fill 60, 70,000 seats. So yeah, well, bro, I absolutely hear what you're saying. Keep smashing the likes, people. We're almost on 60 now. We need another 5. We need another 5 likes. There's still over 50 of you in here. Come on, guys. Run those likes up, people. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. All that good stuff. You know what to do. Potter was the reason why. Well, I don't think it was solely him. Lampard didn't exactly help matters either. And we were just shit. We weren't good enough. The whole thing was a mess. So, yeah. I mean, I don't want to start blaming and going back or whatever. But, yeah, it wasn't the best. But, look, that's the latest Osimhen, people, is that, he would be open to the move potentially. Chelsea, are weighing up their options of what to do. Let's wait and see how this one plans out. But yeah, there's certainly been a bit of an explosion of news on this one since his appearance on John Obi Mikel's podcast, and maybe Agent Mikel is trying to do as much as he can to make sure that we do get Osimhen. But let's wait and see what happens, people. Do you think Osimhen can handle the big money pressure? Yeah, I think he could. I think he strikes me as someone that that sort of stuff wouldn't faze him. He's from Nigeria, obviously tough upbringing and stuff. Yeah, it's one of those where I just think, yeah, it's not going to affect him. But yeah, it will be tough. It'll be a different thing. There'll be a different league to adapt to. But yeah, I think he could absolutely handle it. Do I trust Sanchez as goalkeeper? Not massively. He can certainly earn more trust from the supporters, but on the whole, I don't think he's been horrendous. I think he's actually done okay since he's been here, but I don't look at him as a top class goalkeeper. No, but he could develop into one. You never know. But right now, I just don't see it personally. But yeah, that is the latest on Osimhen, people. Let's wait and see what happens with that one. But Chelsea are weighing up what to do, whether to wait it out to the summer, maybe go for a deal in January with Osimhen to join in the summer, or maybe go for Ivan Toney, or it could be someone completely different. Who knows? But the hunt for a centre forward at Chelsea is definitely heating up for potentially January. So it's definitely a lot to look forward to on that front, people. It could be very exciting.